Listen, today I'm gonna talk about forcing your bitch ass to do some cold approach, even if you got a rotation. Good. That's how daddy needs it. Alright, we'll handle this other shit later. We'll handle that other shit later. But now daddy got a better mic placement. You know what I mean? Game don't stop. Keep getting better. Whatever you're doing, keep getting fucking better. Okay. That's how game don't stop. You keep getting fucking better. Keep getting fucking better, gentlemen. All right? Stay on your game. Keep getting better. Good shit will happen. All right? You get those reps. You get those plate appearances. You stay game tight. You don't get discouraged. Build on successes. Make sure you're doing enough to keep some successes coming in. Because then you keep that winner mind frame fucking developing the chemicals in your fucking brain to be a fucking winner and be used to success. All right, you're going to be used to success. You fucking with me, you're going to be used to success. You fucking with me, you're going to be used to success, fool. All right? You fuck with ZC, you fuck with Girl Interrupt, you're going to be used to success. You're going to just expect success. All right. You're just going to be expecting success, gentlemen. All right? You fuck with Girl Interrupt. We about fucking these hoes to sleep. All right? I can teach you how to get a relationship. I can teach you how to be married. I'll teach you why you shouldn't do that shit. But, you know, for some of you guys, you want what you want. All right? So I don't fucking finna sit here and fucking, you know, I'll lay it out, you play it out. You know what I mean, boys?
Head southwest on Market Street. In 500 feet, use the right 2 lanes to turn right onto Mission Street. Use the right 2 lanes to turn right onto Mission Street.
Look, we talk about utility versus justice, living in the moment, and sunk costs. And you're going to be like, why wouldn't they teach us this shit in school? You know what I mean? A lot of these dating people come from a fucking pretentious place. And a lot of times what people want to hear is somebody say that I don't have all the fucking answers. You know, I'm still trying to figure this shit out. Nobody has all the fucking answers in this dating game. Okay? Nobody fucking has all the answers. So a lot of times people appreciate that authenticity of just admitting that you don't fucking know everything. You know? So let's talk about, okay, I wasn't terrified of shit. I wasn't afraid. I had a very high play rate.
Right on 6th Street.
Right. So for a lot of you guys, it's easier to hide and assume that one day you will figure it out, as opposed to putting yourself out there and failing and having to deal with it, you know? I don't know. Some guys had a fear of not being a good boyfriend and shit like that, you know. I didn't give a fuck if I was good or not good. I just wanted to fuck hoes, you know. But some smart white guys are really perfectionists, you know. Your parents maybe raised you to do school and sports and be really good at that, and that might have been all the time you spent doing, so that might become your identity because you were the guy that was good at things. You might have always been good at things, but then some of you guys go out and you don't have a model for how to be good at girls. And let's talk about if you had a role model that's like, that's the cool guy, that's the guy I wanted to be. There was a few guys in high school that I looked up to. I looked up to certain characters in movies, like I could quote romantic scenes from movies, and I thought that's how it worked. And to a certain extent, that's not how it works. I used to like the Al Pacino from Scent of a Woman. 6th Street. I'll tell you a dirty little secret. When I've done online profile dating, a lot of times I've borrowed lines from TV and movies. So let's talk about online dating. It's something I do personally, and I force myself to keep doing that as part of my work. And some of the books I've written, some of the
6th Street.
You know, I'm writing another book on online dating with one of my girlfriends who's a professional writer, and I'm coming out with a product on that as well. So, some of you dudes, you grow up and you go out with your girlfriend, guy friends, and there's a point where maybe some of these guys start to be girlfriends and you start to feel left the fuck out.
Turn left onto Church Street.
And I had girls that asked me out growing up because I said no to them a lot of times because, never because I was afraid, maybe a little bit, but more because there was a couple times, Amy Ford, 8th grade, but 7th grade. And I had 7th grade, I had a lot of girls asking me out, and I just didn't, I was like so into pumping high value. And Lucy LaJoy, shit like that. Some of it was I always wanted to maintain the highest value, and so some of these girls, they were hot as fuck, but I just turned them down because I wanted the hottest fucking girl. And so you know, I beat a girl in 7th grade at a board game, and it worked, and she got a friend to ask me out, and her friend called me up and said, hey, what do you think about my friend? And I had a lot of girls in high school fucking tell me they wanted me. I had their friends come up and tell me they wanted me. We had, what's her fucking name? Celeste. We had fucking...
Quarter mile, turn right onto Polk Street.
Becky Wallace, shit like that, you know? The present projection and the future projection can play a role in that shit. The guys that I work with, they're afraid to walk up and talk to a girl. They're afraid of 5 minutes into the interaction to have that awkward silence where there's nothing to say. If you walk up and the girl's just like, leave, you know, and she says, fuck off, you know, that's not so personal. But if you've actually talked to her and built some kind of connection and then it goes completely stale, then it's like you're the boring guy and you weren't enough, and that kind of sucks. So some girls are like, ever since they moved home from Boston or wherever to New York, LA, and some girls say, trust me, I've been asked to have more girls than guys because they went to like an all-girls school. But any time that they were asked out, a guy, you could feel that he was following you around Marshall and stalking it like Lifetime movie life. It was like, oh, I'm just praying it up in my head. It's probably not, but I never really looked to see. And I walked over and there's some rock, and all of a sudden he was there again, and I knew he followed her in. And he came up to her and he said, hi, hey, hey, hey. And so at first she didn't really answer him because he was kind of far away. He was yelling at him, and he's like, are you Persian? And and she maybe he's like, what are you? And he goes, a human being. And he goes like, no, what's your nationality? And she's like, why? And I don't understand why. Oh, okay, why? And he's like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, she doesn't want you to fuck around. Get it across what the fuck it was. Don't let her wonder, was that a pickup? Was he just inquisitive? Make it the fucking clear. This is a pickup. I'm fucking interested in you, but I'm not fucking needing. I have value, and you're gonna chase my foundation. And you establish that within 5 fucking seconds if you're doing cold approach. Okay? Because these girls are looking for reasons to think you're not picking them up. They demand that you make it kind of fucking obvious. Alright? Several common mistakes that guys make all kind of layered together. Yeah. And so that guy in that situation knew she didn't want anything to do with him. But men wanting to pick girls up in like a Target and a Marshall, why would they think that's a good spot? Guys try to pick up girls in Marshalls and Target. And these girls think men absolutely just go to Target. They won't even be shopping. They just walk through the aisles looking for girls. You know, guys go to a lot of places. Some girls think it's normal to pick you up at a bar. But if you're not drinking, what's more normal? You go to pick up a girl where? Like, some girls, I guess, don't think they should be picked up while shopping, but, you know, girls sometimes they think you dressed up in a bar, you're dressed up at Target, so they feel like they're disgusting when they're walking around Target. But here's the thing. You might wonder how different my advice has to be from somebody from LA versus somebody from Paris. In LA, a lot of girls find guys in every place to be so extremely fucking different. On the East Coast, they're generally way more fucking forward. They approach you, they got that swagger. A lot of times in California, guys are more laid back, it's a lot more relaxed, it's a lot more chiller. So as a dating coach, people ask me how to cater to different groups of guys. You know, but I'd say in the bigger cities, people in general tend to be more direct about their fucking time, about their fucking money, make a distinction between value and comfort. Are you a cool guy? Is value and comfort being you form a real connection with a girl and get to know her and spend her time with her? And I find that in the bigger cities, it tends to be more value-centric, because just the relationships in big cities, it's not like everybody's with their friends that they grew up their whole life with, and they have this deep connection since they were 2 years old. And it's all people that move to big cities tend to be more ambitious. It's because there's a lot of job opportunities that move from the small towns to the big cities, so it's more of a value culture. And it's not a case of you can't be both, value and comfort, and you should be both, but it's hard because most of the things that you do make you see more value also do bring comfort. It's like, imagine with a celebrity, if you were going to go date Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt or something.
Your destination will be on the right.
So certainly you find them very attractive and charismatic, and their lifestyle is definitely alluring. But on the other hand, there'd be so many girls competing for them and so much that you'd have to deal with that you might feel a little insecure in that scenario. And so that would be a high value, low comfort scenario. So you might wonder, how would a Brad Pitt of the world help the fact that he's been so comforted? And what he'd have to do is just spend more time with you, because if you spend a lot of time with somebody and get to know them and show them that you're willing to invest in that person, you're willing to take the time, then that will build the comfort. And then if you want to know how do you be high value, you got to have going on, more self-worth. And a lot of also what people read into in interactions has to do with the perception, not the actual fact. So if you come off as someone who has a lot of things going on, even if you don't, people will perceive that. Right now around you, there's probably a lot of different sounds and sights and different stimuli around you. You can't focus on it right now. So there's so many fucking things going on. If you focus on all of them, you drive yourself fucking insane. So what we do as people, we focus on just a few elements that are the key elements of a situation, and we trigger off those. So if you meet someone, you're immediately looking at how are they carrying themselves? What's their vocal tonality like? Are they making vocal contact? Are they skittish and looking away? And those factors are what tell you whether they're comfortable with themselves and whether they've had good social feedback in their life. So it's not a good picture, but it's a good little shortcut in the first couple of minutes to tell you where you're at. So people, of course, are actively putting out those factors out there, and you choose the factors that you want to display, but you got to do it in a subtle way. People in the pickup community used to try to do that. They would try to good 25 behaviors not to do with a woman circa 2002. Don't do all these behaviors and you won't see nervous. But the funny thing is, these are all the things the students did wrong. All right, now do 100 push-ups and 3 sets of 45-second leg lifts on your list. You know, you teach the students these lists. All right, good job on those sit-ups, those push-ups and leg lifts. All right, good job. I've had a lot of clients in LA where it's money is 10 times. Girls, a lot of girls sleeping with guys for money, but based on money. So I tell the rich clients of mine not to lead with the money because it works better not to. Even when it does work, a lot of times when you lead with the money, they want with the money, and that's the justification. And so they're in that frame with you. If that's the first thing you put out there is I'm leading with the money. And, you know, like now with social media and you're putting pictures of 24/7, if you have a Ferrari, the girl's probably going to know. And she can Google you in your network afterwards. So you might be wondering how it gets to that point where if you're really looking for somebody, like Dave Chappelle wants to drive around a garbage truck just so nobody knows he's Dave Chappelle. There definitely is that fact. That's a high quality problem, you know. My Ferraris are holding me back problem, you know. That puts it on the girl. She's psycho and going. And the last thing a lot of girls want at a bar is a guy to come up to you and be, hey, my Ferrari is parked outside out the street. Here's how much is in my pocket. Can I buy you everything? That's so unattractive to a lot of girls. That's the worst. All they can do is not lead with it. You know, it's up to women to try and not be psycho, which is hard for them. They'll admit that. And not traitors to their vagina, but, you know. So a lot of girls say, I'm a guy, and say, I'm very confused. I have no idea. I cannot pick up girls. So my first step is find out who you are. What's your first step? What do you do first? And I do boot camps, which is coaching. So, if you're not going to go with the real social dynamics of Todd V or Alpha Male Strategies, you can come with me. Usually my ratio is 3-to-1. It's 3 students and me for the weekend. You can opt in for a one-on-one boot camp. It costs a little more, but you're able to go out and have a world-class wingman who's also a fucking world-class personal trainer and dating coach, and you really experience I'll change your life in a fucking few days, bro. The first thing I do with guys is I take them out, and interestingly enough, I throw them in the deep end and see what they do naturally. Of course I laugh a little bit to myself. I learn a lot of fucking shit from these guys and the crazy things they do wrong, and they make mistakes I would have never fucking thought of. And it helps me with women to watch how poorly other guys do with women. Yeah, it is. In Vegas with my longer term studies, I went to law school in Vegas, so all right, I film them and break down the footage, and I break down for them. It's hidden camera stuff because otherwise it affects the way the women treat them, A lot of times you got to blur everything out, make sure everybody's private. So a lot of times, different guys will have different sticking points. Some of the guys are too bold. Like timid, they'll never make a move. So you may want to assess that and decide on a case-by-case basis what somebody want to work on. A lot of girls want to know, do you give advice based on what a girl looks like or based on her mannerisms? And so what I would do is before we go out to a bar, I would give the guys about 2 hours worth of coaching and lecture. You know what I mean? In these boot camps and these personal works with guys, give them about 2 hours of coaching and lecture before we go out to the bar on how to always have something to say, because that's the one thing I don't want guys to come back and say I ran out of things to say. But if they run out of things to say, they're not going to learn. So I give them some coaching on here's how you always have something to say. Then I'll give them one opener, and if it's usually you're adorable, I want to talk to you, it's usually something very basis. I try not to get them to do something so validating and something more on like an ironic, I'm attracted to you, let's not talk about sex, now you got to chase me validation opener and get it all across in 5 seconds. And if there's a point in the interaction where these guys need to do something, I'll usually jump in and tell them or whisper it in their ear, or I'll take their hand and put it on the girl. I'll even be that interactive at times. So afterwards, success or failure, and sometimes I have threesomes with them all, usually we try not to determine success based on the result they get on the girl, but we're not totally outcome independent. What would be an A for A effort for one person would be an F for effort for one, depending on where they're at. Some girls want to know, what about it just play a big factor because people are shallow. When somebody comes to you and is drop dead gorgeous and it's easier for them to shoot a girls, versus somebody who's not that attractive, looks help for sure, but what I find is looks or having a cool accent, those kind of things, that stereotypically have a good difference will buy you 30 seconds to a minute. That's about it. Your height, 30 seconds to a minute. It'll buy you a little window of time where people are a little nice and give you a little way if you're socially awkward, if you say something dumb. But beyond that, once you've known them for a little bit, then you're being evaluated as a man. You're being evaluated on your personality much more so. If it's really awful, I'll tell a guy about his haircut or something. But for the most part, as long as it's something that's not blatantly hurting him, I'll leave that something. What some of the things that I recommend to wear? At the very, very minimum, just get like a good fitting shirt. Send Daddy your number and I'll send you a Facebook. I'll tell guys to get some dress shoes. It's just a basic ensemble. And then from there, and whenever you see a guys have a catalytic in your head, ask yourself, do you think this guy is getting laid? And take a mental note of the guys you think that are getting laid, and then create a style of your own that's similar to that over time. And now that I'm well established as a dating coach, and it's clear that I've been with thousands of women, and there's not a problem there, and I'm good at picking up women and picking up and having long-term girlfriends or whatever it is, some girls want to know, do you ever just like as a refresher course or whatever you call up a girlfriend of yours or a friend that's a girl and say, what do I think about this? How do girls think about this? And sometimes I do interview girls about that kind of stuff. A lot of my girlfriends are ex-girlfriends, It either ends really well or it ends really, really bad. A lot of my good friends are exes, and yeah, I'll call them up from time to time, or I'll just talk to them or whoever I'm dating. I have a lot of dating guys that know what's up too. And how do I become qualified to know what women want? I would say that the experience definitely helps in general, and my experience definitely fits certain models. It's like in science, you have a hypothesis and you test it, and then when the results confirm it, it makes your hypothesis even stronger. So you might have a think for how a situation works, and then you can predict the situation, and that validates the model. Now, let's talk about somebody who's a jealous type of somebody who's possessive, and they get very possessive and they scale girls off. And girls love their freedom, and that happens more often than you think. And you need to know how to assess that. And I can usually immediately tell when I get somebody I'm training that they get possessive, and then like, is this the guy who texted? She didn't answer in 5 minutes. You can usually tell by basic behavior what other behavior will be. If a guy meets a girl for 2 minutes, then he gets super obsessed with her for the next 3 hours, and you can tell that he might be a little clingy. If he cares a little too much about the outcome, and any one action, that can be a very needy quality. So if some psychologists would call it an attachment disorder. I try to get the guys that I teach to try to be the right kind of guy. Certain guys are going to like you no matter what, and then there's a certain range in the middle. The girls who like you are going to like you more than being their truest self than if you try to cater to every little fucking thing they want. So I wake up, I usually have something to eat, work on some videos and some editing. A lot of times I wake up, I do some videos, and I usually have some coaching with the guys in the evening out in Vegas, so that's 6:30 to 9, and then I'll go showering. Send out your number. Send daddy your number. I come to LA every month or two, you know. You know. You know why I want your number, but if you want me to give you some plausible deniability, I'll be happy to. I make it to Reno a couple times a month. Send daddy your number. I have a confidence about me. You know, if a video comes off, the whole thing's this entitlement. Clubs want certain people in, certain people are good for business, and certain people are. You know, guys who pay $10,000 for a table are obviously good for business for direct reasons. And they want those type of people. For guys that are not buying a table and you're coming at a lower value in the club. So either the way that you can be of value to the people running the clubs, either bring girls and become like sort of like a sub promoter for the club, or you have to be a guy who they look at you and they're like, okay, he's cool. He's going to make the atmosphere in the club better. He deserves to be here. He's of the right caliber. And so when someone looks in your eyes, they can tell a lot based upon, can you look straight in the eyes? Do you flinch? Is your voice level? Do you believe what you're saying? So if you say, are you on the guest list? And you say, no, it's just me. Just look at them. But if it's not reactive and it's like, no, it's just me. But if it's like hard, like, no, it's just me. You know, but you got to believe that they're going to let you in. So sometimes I do go by myself. And a lot of times I go by myself, but it's always best to go with a girl. My friend in San Francisco who coaches with me, he has this phrase, a group of 5 guys or more, it's like cancer rates. You know, essentially getting to the club, you're just asking to be denied. So I go out 6 nights a week. And some people want to know, is that so much partying going out with these girls? I'm a natural introvert, so there's definitely times that I would prefer to chill, you know, but I look at my job and I'd rather have it than not have it, you know. If I'm looking at it as I could be having more fun right now, then okay. But if I'm looking at it as I could be in a cubicle doing some really mundane shit right now, then what I do is pretty fucking fun, you know? Are you a good girl or a bad girl? Question mark. I'm just doing my fucking Tinder. I'm putting in my miles on Tinder. I really want to understand the world. I come up with a model for how, you know, how things work. Aside with the whole girl work. Aside from just wanting the girl work, that my whole model for the way the world worked with women didn't work, and it wasn't getting work. In high school, especially, I looked around and my whole model for the world was, if I get good grades and I'm a good athlete, you know, I wear the right clothes or whatever, and I have a nice body, girl. That's what I saw on TV and movies, and I did that, and I was the poster child for how you're supposed to be for like the American dream. And I wasn't getting as many girls as I should, and I looked at the guys who were getting the girls, and I was like, this douchebag, why him, really? And so it really, really frustrated me, and it made me very motivated to figure it out. A lot of girls say that the ones who were nice and caring never got the girls, and a lot of times the ones who were the assholes got the girls. And a lot of girls say, you seem like a nice person, and you seem like you break the mold. So I guess I kind of break that stereotype for a lot of men. Being a douche. Being able to get away with it and having, you know, being confident and strong-willed, being someone who's willing to take a lead, being someone who's willing to offend everyone once in a while instead of willing to cater. You wouldn't be so concerned with everything, being too concerned with people's reaction, being too concerned with the minute to minute of how everybody's mood is all the time. It actually conveys lower value. If I had to generalize completely all men into one group, and give one sentence of advice to all men out there. Yeah, that one did stump me a bit, but as long as you keep chasing my validation, I'm not worrying about it. It's going really good, but it gets kind of overwhelming having all these women chase my validation. Are you ready to chase my validation? Just don't chase my validation too hard, or that'll turn me all the way off. Just don't chase my validation too hard, or that will turn me all the way off. Don't follow me, don't do the question mark. You know, I teach text to guys, of course. Just don't chase my validation too hard, or it'll turn me all the way off. It's a big model. What do you mean? I'm always ready. I've always got some bullets in the chamber ready to fire. I stay loaded. Even after I drop a load, there's another load ready. So if you date someone with 6 months and they're in your family, you can say something dumb and the interaction will continue. But they'll still love you deep down. So when you're texting somebody that you just met, there's not a lot of shit out there. So you have to be funny and offer value. You have to say interesting things and offer them in return. You have to give before you can receive, in a way. And a lot of girls love that. A lot of girls will get a number and the first text, we like to get a drink 7 o'clock at this place. That's a lot for a girl. It's very heavy. Well, of course you don't want to be too submissive until some value has been demonstrated in a non-obvious try-hard way. And you're not going to be truly tamed until some comfort has been established. Mixed in with a guy clearly demonstrated he can take it or leave it. He's not going to get butthurt about anything, and he has an abundance mindset. It's what makes you wet. So, where the fuck's the orders, boys? So a lot of women want to know, what's my ultimate goal? I've already accomplished so much. I'm still gung-ho. I'm still motivated on my hustle, you know. So you might want to know, what's my ultimate goal? Is it to have a TV show? Is it to have, what is it? As far as business-wise, my goals are limitless. My goal is to be so successful that I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I'm very, very ambitious. I would love to do what I do on a much level scale, to be able to reach many more people and be able to teach moralistically even. You know, I'm working on moving the concepts that I built up in the realm of dating in the worlds that we've established and taking those, just helping people in general. You know, helping people with their work and their help and all their social interactions and not just dating. You know, helping people get motivated on the right path for life. You know, and that's something that I'm really working towards. A lot of times I'm teaching one person to 3 people at a time. I'd love to be teaching 50 to 100 people at a time and pimping a 5,000 seat audience like Tony. You know, I definitely do want kids at some point, and I want the right type of people around me in the long run, and I don't want to be in a situation where I'm 60 and I have to do cold approach, but I would like to be 60 and to be able to do cold approach. You know, you might still be in a learning phase in terms of other things that you're doing, but you might be kind of between. It's definitely on the radar for the future, you know. A lot of times there are so many old men in LA that you see that have these hot girls, these 60-year-old men. It's just fucking, the younger guys could take a pointer from them. You know, a lot of these girls think, well, money, 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 money. The nice things as a guy, though, the more that you get, the older, the more life experiences you have, and the more you can share, and the more value you offer. Guys are judged a lot based on not necessarily the looks, but the personality or attitude and the things you accomplish and the things you can do. And those power factors in as well. And when a lot of times the older you get, the more power you get. A lot of times people want to know what's the kind of things you're drawn to in a guy. Confidence, self-belief, you know, confidence, self-belief, how to give a girl an experience. I agree with Kate's statement, and I wish the previous panel would have taken that tact because they undid their recommendation to reinstate me based on things that I had a constitutional right to do after the hearing. So applying Kate's logic here, I would have already been reinstated 3 years ago. Respectfully, Zach. I would have already been reinstated 3 years ago. A lot of girls like someone who seems powerful and who seems like they have people working for them. Someone who's dominant and at the top, and that's very much makes sense. And when girls are honest, they'll tell you that they like that. You know? They undid their recommendation 3 years ago based on things that happened after the fucking hearing. You know, if people want to hear from me, check out my YouTube channel, check out my Insta, get at me on Patreon and Twitch and social media, Twitter, Facebook, Girl Interrupter. I'm ZC, I keep it real. I'm a high school's all-time leading scorer in hoop. All right, I'm in the national record books for the highest single-season scoring shooting percentage, 65.8%. I'm up there next to Zebo. But just know at the outset that I'm not the guy who slut shames women. Just know at the outset that the last thing I'm going to do is slut shame you. I'm not in a hurry to get sexual, but I like to set the right frame right at the outset. You know exactly what I mean, Ava. First, we're going to build that value and then the comfort. And we're going to have a lot of fun along the way as you stay chasing my validation. A lot of fun.
Yeah, good girl, good girl. Oh, yeah, it's a good girl. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, good girl. Yeah, good girl. Yeah, it's my good girl.
Chasing my validation makes you wet. And I like keeping you wet because it slides in easier. I agree. I fucking agree. I would have been ready to say 3 fucking years ago. That's shit I had a constitutional right to fucking do. You know, just shit I had a constitutional right to do. After the fucking hearing, we came back in, did all this fucking shit, just put me down for. I agree with her analysis. It's after the hearing, the shit, it doesn't fucking matter. You know? I would like to get this fucking context rolling. What the fuck's up with this shit, bro? Let's go. Where's the orders? You know what I mean? I got Skype sessions. I'm doing my Patreon. Fucking got live cast. You know, let's talk about shit. Let's talk about what keeps these fucking females wet. You know, let's talk about what makes them wet, what keeps them wet, how to lay the pipe, shit like that. Okay? We're doing big things here, boys. Doing big things. All right. You're gonna do 100 push-ups and do 3 sets of 45-second leg lifts on your back. You know, I like to talk about is friendship and growth because that's just important. You know what I mean? It's not just, oh, what's the line to have a one-night stand tonight? I want to talk to you about a question that I ask all the time. It's a good question, but I ask a misguided one. But as you're getting serious about pickup, you might want to wonder, how do I deal with the friends that I have who are not into it? I think it's misguided to get rid of your old friends, but I think it's coming from a good place. And the idea is this whole idea that this sum is you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. So can you still hang out with the guys who will into your old habits? Will you get dragged down into those habits? That's an important question. A lot of you want to know the answer to that. And it is quite possible that a lot of you guys will get dragged down into those habits. So that's something you want to prevent. So that said, do 100 push-ups. So I spent a lot of time, good job on those push-ups, boys. I spent a lot of time on this channel talking about how to get the relationship you want. But I'm going to talk how to get the relationship you want on your terms. There's a lot of factors that's going to dictate if you get into the relationship you want, or you get one on her whims and society wins, or you just have a little fact like a fact. I'm going to talk to you about 6 factors that are very critical to getting a relationship going. The first 5 is completely within your control. The 6th one is largely outside of your control, but it's going to be important. So, without too much further ado, let's get into it. The first factor I want to talk to you about is how are you conveying yourself in your life. Whenever you're interacting with someone, they're getting a sense of who you are, who you've been in the past, what type of relationships you've been in the past. They're getting a sense of kind of who you are and who you've been, all right? And they're going to fill in that role. So if you're conveying yourself as this rich guy who buys things for girls and leads mainly with money, you're going to get put in a certain type of relationship role or archetype. On the other hand, if you're portraying yourself as a certain type of guy who's all about the experience, whether he's successful or not, that's going to convey a certain role. If you're conveying that you've had a lot of girls in your life before, she's going to assume certain things about your preferences and what you can get away with and what you can't get away with. It's not about what you expect from her. If you convey that you're very, very shy, she's going to assume some other stuff. If you convey yourself as very outgoing with a lot of friends, she's going to assume that you're a particular type of person. And what this is really getting down to is this. A girl with a different guy, they act in a different way. Just don't chase my validation too strongly or it'll turn me all the way off. Every single if you convey yourself as this very highly structured, follow the rules by the book type of guy, it's going to be hard to have a crazy, spontaneous, by the rules type of relationship. By vice versa, you want to be very cognizant of how you're conveying everything about your life, because she's reading into it and she's deciding what role she wants to fill. And girls are very, very flexible, and it'll be very, very flexible. But if you're giving her the wrong message, she's going to pick that wrong message up and go in the wrong direction. The next critical factor in what kind of relationship you're going to have is how you are conveying the relationship to her. All right, so things like when you show up to see her, are you bringing flowers every single time? Are you opening the door for her, or is it very casual? Are you invited her on big formal dates? Are you invited to go do shit you do in your everyday life? Are you invited to see your friends? Are you invited just to come over and see the two of you? Are you promising things? Or what are you going to do together in the future? Or are you just kind of living in the moment and taking things as they come? So all of these factors are telling her your expectations. They're telling her what type of relationships you're planning on having. Again, she's going to be very malleable to that. She's going to go along with a lot of what you're leading. So there's a lot of girls who will resist your lead, but if you are leading in a certain direction, it's a lot more likely that you're going to wind up in that direction than not. So you want to be very, very careful about that kind of stuff. And a lot of guys make these mistakes. They have a girl that they just want to hook up with, and they start getting very lovey-dovey and starting to meet their parents, and they end up in a bad situation. Also, guys have situations where they want to be very intimate with the girl, and yet they never open up with her. And the girl doesn't take the relationship seriously for quite some time. When you open up this second way, you know, the problem is it all comes together again with an impression of what you want. And again, you're probably going to get something along the lines of what you want, or at least you're more likely to get what you want if you conveyed it than if you haven't. You're more likely to get what you don't want if you conveyed it wrongly than if you are being intelligent about what you are conveying. So the first two factors I've talked about in dictating what kind of relationship you're going to have, it deals with the message you're going to convey to the girl. Second, your message about the type of relationship. This next factor has to deal with how strong be heard and responded to. And so what this is who has the power in the relationship, who's dictating the dynamic and has control of it. And oftentimes, I will go so far as to say, most of the time, this has to do with who needs the person more and who's less willing to walk away. Because in any kind of negotiation, you have to understand, you have your idea of what you want in the relationship, and she has her idea of what she wants in the relationship, and they may not be entirely congruent. Okay, and if any negotiation, if you can't walk away, you're in bad shape. If you can't walk away, you don't have a lot of negotiating power. Maybe, a lot of guys, maybe they got girls through ancillary means, but they don't know how to power in the relationship, so they have to bend over backwards and give the girl whatever she wants. So it's absolutely critical. Where and how did you meet? If you meet through a day game cold approach, it's going to be a little different than a night game cold approach, and that's going to be very, very different than being introduced by a friend. It's also going to be very different if you have classes with a girl and she knows you have a certain period of time, and you go to the same restaurant. Also imagine meeting someone live and in person versus meeting someone on a dating site. There's a different expectation, of your relationship history. Even from one dating site to another, you meet on Match.com versus Tinder to FetLife, there's different expectations. However, even beyond where you met, one of these single biggest factors that's going to come into play is how long and through what means what happened before having sex for the first time. For example, if you meet and it's at the club and you're going to hook up that first night, well, now the girl's going to kind of know your high value, know you already had sex, and she's going to worry, is he going to call me again? Is this actually serious? Can I take him as more than just a player guy from the club? Well, on the other hand, if you met through a friend of a friend and you got to know her over a series of several days before a series of having sex, now she's viewing you in a completely different light. In general, as a man, the earlier you have sex, the better off you're going to be in terms of being able to have different types of relationship dynamics. If you want to be extremely boyfriendy and extremely relationship, you can probably get away with both. But even there, because of the previous factor, who has power in the relationship, having sex earlier on is probably going to help you, because typically for a guy, before you've had sex and a girl's rationalizing all the reasons why she hasn't had sex with you, she's going to be put in a position of, do we have sex or not? On the other hand, once you've had sex, now the win for her is keeping you around and having a relationship with you. So that changes that dynamic dramatically. Now, that's not necessarily the case. There's times where you're not necessarily having sex because you already had a previous girlfriend. She's hitting on you because you're already saying no. You had a friend who's actually devoutly religious and he didn't want to have sex. And so he'd date these girls without having sex with them for a very long time. And they would chase, and they would knew that he couldn't have sex with them, which made him kind of the forbidden fruit. So there are dynamics later. But in general, the earlier you have sex, the more power you're going to have. And in any case, how the relationship starts is going to determine a lot about how it's going to proceed. First impressions matter. They create a precedent. They create a set of expectations for every set thereafter. The next critical factor, whether you're going to have a relationship on your terms, is whether and where you put your foot down. What are your boundaries? Do you have boundaries, and how much do you stand up for them? All the power in the world's great, but if you don't exercise it, it doesn't mean anything. Someone steps over the line and you don't do anything about it, they'll continue stepping over the line again and again and again. So the question is, what are your boundaries? Do you know what your boundaries are? Having set them, do you uphold them? And also, how do you uphold them? If you uphold them like a tyrant, if you hold them angry, vicious, and forceful every time, can you stand up for yourself without making the other person hate you? Can her change her mood, not her mind, and make her want to do the things you want instead of forced to do the things you want? Because nobody wants to feel like they're in a negotiation with a constantly losing. However, a fun, flirty interaction where they just go along with the other party sometimes is a lot more palatable, correct?